Right. Newton's third law will make you a millionaire, and it's because Newton's third law states that for every reaction there's an opposite and equal reaction. And now, if you suck at physics like myself, then don't worry. I'll give you a simpler principle, or perhaps a phenomena that you know, and it's karma. If you've probably heard about karma before, that essentially means that if you do something bad towards a person, some way or some form you will be punished back. Now, a lot of people who are little bit more spiritual, they'll call it the law of attraction, and this is essentially the same thing. Now, karma is very often misinterpreted as something negative, but the law of attraction is something fairly neutral. So if you do perhaps something positive, the universe or the reality that you live in will reward you with that same type of energy, in other words, positivity, equally back at you. And now, there are many different angles on how you can interpret this, but coming back to the more physics perspective about it, just imagine Newton's third law is if you played, I don't know, rugby, American football before, and you are, I believe it's called defender or quarterback, and you're pushing, somebody forward or pushing one person in one direction, the only way the person will be able to either stop or push you back is he has to have the same, or if not a greater amount of force pushing in the direct opposite direction of yourself. And so if he is pushing you in this with the same force back at you, then you will have something called an equal force of reaction. In other words, a constant value such as 0, and there's no force going back and forth. So it's either the same direction or there is no movement at all. And so that's essentially Newton's third law. And what does that essentially mean? And before you click off because you're wondering like how will I be a millionaire, here's the issue. The issue is that in today's world, a lot of people believe that you can just sit around and wait there for the best of things to just be given to you. And a lot of people are lucky like that. A lot of people win the lottery or come from families that are quite well off, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're a person right now, I assume you guys are watching this video and struggling or suffering to whatever extent, and you want to obviously make your life a little bit better. And so the issue is you can't just sit there and wait for that to happen. You can't just sit at your spot, do literally nothing, and wait for the universe to give you that type of reward or rezeki, how we call it in Malaysia, to give it to you, because that's just essentially not how it works, right? And that mainly fundamentally boils back down to the idea of Newton's third law, or in other words, the law of attraction. And so if you want to become a millionaire or successful, you have to understand that in order for you to reach that type of stage, because essentially you have to become that person that will allow you to become a millionaire. I've made that clear in my previous videos, but essentially for you to become, a successful person, you have to become a specific person that will allow you to basically accumulate that type of success that you're looking for. And I'm not only talking about wealth, but I'm talking about other areas in life. For example, if you're into status, or if you want a stable relationship, a family, if you want power to some extent, like whatever it is that you're aiming for, you need to become that specific person, right, that will allow you to basically achieve those type of metrics. It's not enough for you to have a successful business model. It's not enough for you to have capital injected to you. It's not enough for you to know the skills and knowledge as much as you want, because again, as I promise you, it is the person that you are, or more specifically, it's the belief system that you are basically hardwired with that will allow you to become essentially that type of person. And now, in terms of law of attraction, if your goal, according to the thumbnail of this video, is to become a millionaire, then you have to essentially give the universe something that the universe will give you a specific segment of reality that is or makes you a millionaire. And now, if you are a huge Marvel or DC fan and believe in the entire multiverse garbage thing, I mean, it's not essentially garbage, but if you believe in the idea, in the theory behind it, then basically it's almost the same thing. So I can guarantee, and if not promise you, that there's a version of you that already exists out there that already makes you a millionaire, or you are essentially already a millionaire according to that version of reality. And so why is that specific version of reality not unfolded yet? Is because the universe is waiting for you to give it something so that the universe can unfold that specific type of reality. And now, what is that specific thing that you essentially give the universe, right, for that type of reality to be unlocked? Now, I don't want to be too metaphysical on this, but essentially, or basically, it's very, very simple. It's energy. And now, specifically, what type of energy you can perhaps, I don't know, research on the idea of string theory and vibrations, but essentially it's just energy that you have to, give off to the universe, and the universe will give you that reality. And before you think it's, some type of energy that you start running laps or something, no, it's essentially not that. But the energy specifically we are talking about is actions, right? And so actions are basically, the specific things or tasks that you complete that will make you, for example, a millionaire. And so it's not hard for you to figure out what these tasks are, because you can basically look at the people who already made it, right? And so you can read books, you can listen to podcasts, you can even talk to them yourself and figure out what they did for them to reach that stage, right? And so whatever those millionaires did, right, I want you to understand that whatever they did, literally, and I mean it quite literally, apply the same type of principles of what they did, right? Literally reverse engineer, understand how they made it, and how they reached a specific stage, especially those millionaires that are related to your field, right? So if you're an entrepreneur who wants to, I don't know, start an AI company, or you're an entrepreneur that would like to, create, I don't know, some company that revolves around technology or innovative gadgets, then look at those millionaires who were in those shoes, right? Who invented, exactly those things that you're fantasizing about, and figure out how they did it exactly. And so when you uncover that, what you are basically doing is you're basically crafting a blueprint for you, right? And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the blueprint is not going to be enough, because I can promise you, even if you have the blueprint, you weren't able to basically check out the boxes of the blueprint. And then I'm saying this because I've been in the same situation before. I literally reverse engineered those people who I was inspired by, and I figure out, it's weird, even though I know, or figure out what they did, why is it not the same type of success happening to me? And that's basically because I didn't become that person, and I think I've literally made it clear many, many times out, but I didn't become that person that they, basically were. And so that type of reality or that type of success wasn't given to me. And now you can cry and sit there and wonder or say oh, you know what, life is so unfair, it's not giving me the same type of treatment. Then if you're saying that, then I'll tell you one thing for sure, you lost already, because you don't understand how the games of the universe work. And as much as you hate it, that is basically how the universe works. We're bound by our physics, we are bound by certain mathematical boundaries that surround us, and you have to understand, in order for you to essentially compete in the reality or strive to become the best version of yourself, you have to understand the parameters, the rules, and the metrics of the universe, and you have to play by the rules. There is absolutely no choice. As stubborn and as much as you hate it, right, there's no choice that is out there for you, right? And so there are specific principles for you to understand, and there are a lot of great books that perfectly elaborate and highlight the difficult and complex principles of how I'm trying to explain it. And obviously I'm having quite quite a hard time about it. But the law of attraction is a very cliche, or one of the most popular examples as a principle that you should know, that will guide you throughout the complexities of this universe. And so by the end of this video, I hope that you can use the idea, or the theological theory, or the theory of the law of attraction. And once you understand that the world basically works in reciprocity, so it's basically reciprocates, or reciprocal if you're a mathematical person. And so basically whatever you give, you will obviously receive it exactly the same in return. Whether it's karma, luck, or law of attraction, it's all basically the same thing.